Welcome to How to Live Slow, the podcast where we discuss slow living for the modern woman and help you design an intentionally slower family life. I'm Rachelle Glendon, your personal slow living coach and host of this podcast. I know all about busy, but I love living slow. Enjoy the show. Well, hello and welcome back to another episode of How to Live Slow. If you're new here, I'm Rachelle. It's really great to have you and thank you so much for choosing to spend some of your precious time with me today. So I've got a couple of really exciting things to share with you. And first of all, today's episode is all about busy blocks, or all the things that we tend to do to keep ourselves unintentionally busy when we really do desire to slow down. So it's going to be a really great thing. There's 9 things that you might be doing or that might apply to you that will keep you living busy when you really rather be slowing down and finding the joy in your life. But before I start with that, I wanted to let you know something that will affect you if you're a long-time weekly listener. Because as you know, winter is coming up and I am going to be making the podcast for winter a fortnightly thing. So today's episode, and then there's 2 more weekly episodes after this, and then as of June through to the end of August will be fortnightly, which means that there'll be 1 solo episode and then a week's break, and then the following week will be a guest, and then the following week will be a break again, and then on we go from there. And the reason for that is twofold. One of them is that, well, I've been doing this now for, a long time, well over a year, and I need a little bit of a break. I'm reassessing the direction and the things that I want to talk about here and all of the ways that I can help you with the slow living. I really want to make each episode better, and with the weekly kind of episode flow, it just means that it takes me about 4 or 5 hours per episode, and that means that's including like getting in contact with everybody who are guests, creating all the graphics for it, creating the show notes, recording the actual interviews, sending them off for editing and uploading, promoting them and sharing them. And by the time I've done all of that per episode, I feel like I haven't really given each episode its everything that it deserves. And each guest obviously has a lot to say, and with only 1 week period of promoting that episode and to share it with, my email community and my Instagram and my Facebook communities, and to get it out to a wider audience, by the time I, start to make some traction with 1 episode, it's time for the next one to come out. And I just feel that takes away from the whole message of slow living. And I've got a lot to say, but I feel like instead of, even with my solo episodes, I really would like to start putting a little bit more effort and research and intention behind them and start creating them so that they provide even more value for you, which means that I like to put a little bit more time into each one, and a little bit of more care and thought. And yeah, I hope you understand what I'm saying there, but I just feel that it is time to slow things down a little bit in terms of the podcast, take a little bit of a winter hibernation period, and really bring some key points, like key things that will help you. So there'll be like 3 or 4 over the period of winter, highlight episodes that really dive deeply into one particular area of slow living that I feel deserves a deeper dive and a bigger insight and more depth to each episode, rather than just kind of, dropping you an idea. I'd really like to start bringing a few more details to things. The other reason why I've decided to do this is because I have a new goal for myself, a personal goal, and I've just committed to doing the 30-kilometer coast trek at the end of July to raise money for Beyond Blue. 1 in 5 Australians, I think it's 3 million Australians, suffer with anxiety and depression. And I feel that, particularly parents, it's a really vulnerable time. And I'm really passionate about encouraging people to seek support if they have, if you have mental health concerns. And I think that I'd love to see it so that, just as we know how to take care of our physical bodies, I'd love to see a day when there's a lot of education and acceptance around what needs to go into taking care of our mental bodies, our mind care, particularly because, when you're not mentally well, when you're not physically rested and emotionally and mentally rested, then that takes a toll not only on you, but if you're a parent, that takes a toll on your children as well. And I think it's really important to understand how our mental health doesn't just affect us, it affects everybody we interact with, and particularly our family bubbles. And I have experienced firsthand what it is like when a parent doesn't take care or isn't able to take care of their own mental well-being. And so that's why I'm really passionate about this project. But also the personal physical goal of walking the 30 kilometers. And so that means that to not take more time away from my family, I'm actually going to be dedicating Monday mornings after school drop-off to my training. So I do already do, an hour's walk a couple of times a week and go to Pilates. But on Monday mornings now, I'll be doing a 3-hour hike as a practice, as training with my friend Sue. And it is so wonderful. We've already done 2. Yesterday we did almost 13 kilometers. We walked almost all the way to the city and back. And I can't tell you the benefits that I'm already feeling over working towards a longer term goal, and to make it so that my life isn't always just about taking care of the kids, working, supporting my husband in his business and all of those other things, but that I've got something that I'm doing for myself. I was feeling really guilty or really like that's not how life should be, like it's Monday, how dare I put some time into something that I want? What I realized is over the last almost 6 years of being a mum, I have been working a triple shift. I feel like I deserve to take this time out for me to work towards something that's important for me, and everybody is benefiting because I'm much happier, much more balanced, much more able to recognize myself and like where I'm reacting rather than responding, and I'm catching myself a little bit more often, taking a breather before, reacting and finding a better way of responding with my kids, and I'm much more present. I'm just feeling really excited because if you're a long-time listener, you may know that one of my goals is to walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain, which is a pilgrimage. It's actually a religious pilgrimage. Not that I am religious or Catholic, but you can do the pilgrimage from a spiritual point of view or from just a personal connection point of view. And my goal is to walk that. It's 800 kilometers. It takes about a month, and I feel that this is one small step towards that goal, which is really, really exciting. While I was not going to share with you that my new routine includes taking Monday morning out to go for a long distance walk, because I feel that I don't want to make anyone feel, disappointed that that's not where they're at in their lives. I also feel that I want to encourage you to find ways of changing your routines, of mixing things up and finding ways to support yourself to achieve certain things if that's what you want. It is possible over the longer term to change parts of your life to support you in a better way, and I'm here to fly the flag of not just doing things for the financial benefit or for the financial gain. Life is so much more than that. Obviously we need money to survive and to live, but if we could find ways of making the world a little bit less focused on financial abundance and a little bit more focused on time abundance and life quality, then I feel that we would all be so much happier. So that is my little announcement, and I hope that you are on board with that. And yeah, it also gives me an opportunity. So another thing is it also gives me an opportunity to share some more live videos with you. I'm thinking of making a small return to YouTube, meaning that my, some more videos on YouTube will be going up about slow living. I'm also going live a lot more in my Facebook group and providing support and guidance in there. And I'm planning on doing a little bit more live video on Facebook, on my Facebook page, so that you can access that if you're not in the group, and also of course on Instagram, sharing those videos on IGTV. I also, obviously, business is growing, and so I'm starting to get more clients and more paid work out of this. People are wanting to work with me more directly in slowing their lives down, so that means that I have even less time available to do the podcast. And so of course things have to give in a way, encouraging you to always find ways of rejigging the things in your life for the season of life that you are in. Things don't always stay the same, and so it's a really good practice to learn to be a bit more flexible about how things change and to kind of roll with the punches a little bit. And so, what an amazing experience to be able to, come back here and let you know that things are changing. So it's always fun. It always spices life up. Okay, so busy blocks. Now, excuse me, I really have to apologize if you can hear banging and drilling and hammering in the background. We are having some carpet replaced in the downstairs area, and of course it has to be this morning while I'm planning to record this podcast. So Anyway, I apologize for that and hope it's not too distracting. Let's go into busy blocks. Now, I've called them busy blocks because you may have heard of money blocks, and money blocks are little self-sabotage type of things that we do, or stories that we've attached to around money that hold ourselves back from being more abundant with money. When things like we spend all the money that we earn rather than saving it, or we have stories about having to work really hard to earn money or to be deserving of money. And I feel that you can apply that to any kind of resource, and our most precious resources, I feel, are our energy and our time. And so that's where busy blocks came from, because I feel that almost everybody who I tell I'm a slow living coach or I have a podcast about slow living, I haven't met a single person who hasn't said to me, oh, I'm already live really slow. Everybody always says, I wish that I knew how to do that. I wish I could slow down. It's just not possible for me, or some variation of that. And so I've really realized that actually, it is more possible for people than they think. And there's reasons why we stay busy. Least of all, that it's a habit. Being busy is a habit. And so that is the first busy block. The first way that we keep ourselves busy unintentionally is that we live on autopilot, meaning that, first thing in the morning, a lot of us pick up our phone and scroll social media, and we do the exact same thing. Our habits are the same every day. We are not as productive as we would like to be. We get stuck on loops, and we might watch much more TV than we want to do, or we might do things in potentially slightly the wrong order, or, do things at times that should be allocated for other things. And that'll make more sense as we go on. But living life on autopilot and always just thinking that this is life and this is how it is and there's no way I can change it, that is going to keep you busy. Because if you don't believe that you can change and you don't believe that things can be different for you, then you're not going to be able to find ways of creating that change, right? The second thing that keeps you really busy unintentionally is not believing that you deserve rest, or that you have to even earn rest, so that you can only rest once you've done everything on your to-do list, which never really happens, right? So I'd like to bust this myth by saying that we all deserve rest, and in fact, we can't be productive if we don't rest. And rest is not just sleep, as you've heard me say before. Rest is, yes, it's napping, but rest is a physical rest. It's emotional rest. It's taking a break from whatever you're doing to do something else. Meaning that if you're sitting at a desk all day, then rest could actually be taking a walk. It's restorative because it puts our body back in balance. If you're running around doing chores all day, or doing errands around, then coming home and sitting down in the quiet, taking 5 minutes to have a hot drink is rest. So it really does depend on what you're doing on a particular day as to what might mean rest. So we don't need to earn our rest. We just deserve to have it, and we can't really function without it. So it's really important to understand that you do deserve rest and that it's okay to take it. It doesn't make you lazy. Number 3 is people pleasing, or what I think is really going on is when we haven't done the inner work to feel safe enough to advocate for ourselves. So we struggle to say no, we struggle to speak up when things don't work for us, and we just go along. Maybe you've recognized this in yourself, and this is something that I've done, is I've called myself someone who's easygoing, or I like to go with the flow. And this is really just about people pleasing. This is really about, foregoing your own opinions and wishes or needs to keep other people happy and to keep the peace, or to keep everybody, other people who have strong opinions about things, we'll just let them go, we'll go with what they want because it's just easier than rocking the boat, so to speak. And so this habit, though, does mean that you probably become a lot more busy than you really wish to be. I've had to do a lot of work about, becoming comfortable speaking up. And what I've learned is that speaking up and advocating for your needs and being assertive is completely different than having an argument or a confrontation. But when you're a gentle sort of natured person, any kind of assertiveness can feel like confrontation. And so it's a really good thing to work on learning how to advocate for yourself, so that by nature, by extension, you don't do things out of people pleasing. So that's a really important one. I really want to highlight that. The next one is intentionally overwhelming yourself, particularly if you're a really curious or interested person, like if you want to know all the things about all the things like I do. It's really easy to get FOMO or to get shiny object syndrome, like you need to know this or you want to know that, or you get caught in the wheel of a rabbit hole on Instagram or YouTube, learning videos, watching things, and just like getting really overwhelmed by saying yes to too many things and not having the discipline of understanding that you do need to say no. Like, to get the real value out of the things you say yes to, you need to say no to a lot more. And that includes the information and the marketing that you take in and the opportunities that you have to reject in favor of the things that do matter. And so that does actually play a big part in keeping us busy. Number 5 is not really, and it's kind of related or goes on from number 4, is not really understanding what your priorities are and not allocating time to those things. So this is where my winter retreat is going to come into its own. If you're not aware, on the 1st of June, I'm actually hosting a winter retreat, which you can attend. It's at 7:30 p.m. on the 1st of June, Australian Eastern Standard Time. So that's 7:30 p.m. on the East Coast, 5:30 p.m. in WA. And you might need to check your time if you're in the UK or the US. But so the winter retreat is all about learning what your values are and how to set priorities for the season of life that you're in based on your high values. And so that's why number 5, is not understanding what your values are. When you know what your values are, it's much easier to set some priorities for what you're up to. And when I say seasons of life, I do mean, obviously, it's a winter retreat. We are coming into a new season next month, but also the season of life that you're in might be babies, could be toddlers, could be school-age kids, could be teenagers or tweens. Those are also seasons. So I've always used the example of, one of my highest priorities is personal growth. But when I had the babies, my personal growth just meant getting enough sleep to be able to function and, respond well to my kids. But now that I'm in the season of life where I've got a school kid and a preschooler, I'm able to focus on goals like doing a 30-kilometer walk, which is a personal growth goal, or to build this business is a personal growth goal. I've got a really interesting process that I can take you through in that retreat that will help you understand what your real values are. Not the values you think you should have, but the ones that actually matter to you, and then figure out what your priorities are for the season so that you can, when you know those things, you can be really certain of what to say yes and no to based on what comes your way. It's kind of like a filtering process. So that's really fun. I would love you to attend. If you do want to come along, it's $79. And when you buy your ticket, you also get access to the Do Less module of the Slow Life, which is a really great bonus upgrade. It's valued at $47. So it gives you'll get the prep work, all about habits and procrastination and productivity hacks and that sort of thing. That's video training. And then you get the Do Less module as well, which is all about, how to do less. And it gives you a really good foundation for the retreat. We talk about the mental load and how to clear the diary and how to set boundaries and all of that stuff. So it's all video-based modules, and there is some homework for you to help you implement. And if you watch those videos before the retreat, you'll really have a good foundation to go into the retreat as well, which is really beautiful. So $79. But either way, just not understanding your priorities and values really does keep you busy, because it means that you don't know what to say no to and you're not clear what gets a yes from you either. Number 6 is a fear of judgment, or a fear of being different, or seeming like you're not important enough to be busy, or that you might be lazy for taking rest, or those sorts of things. So when you choose to live a slower life, when you choose to prioritize rest and all of those things, basically it's counterculture in a way, because our current mode of capitalism is that you should be doing everything faster than the day before and being more productive than the day before, and be, always on the go and always figuring out ways of getting more done and achieving more and more growth for the sake of it and all of that, as you've heard me talk about many times. But my belief is that actually that is a completely broken model of success, and that the more time freedom you have, the more, successful you are. Like if you take the time to rest and to not always just think that everything you do has to have a financial benefit or some sort of gain, then you're really winning at life. I really believe that. So the fear of judgment or the fear of being different because you're not choosing to participate as per the standard set of, how to do life, that might keep you busy. It might keep you doing things that you don't really want to be doing, keep you at work later than you would rather be because that's just how things are done at your workplace. And in fact, a lot of research that shows that staying later at work doesn't give you you tend to do much less than if you were to just get there, do what you need to do and get going. Okay, so number 7, as related to that, is misusing productivity hacks. That means that productivity hacks are designed to get you or to help you and support you to get more done in less time. But then what happens is when we're not prioritizing slow living, when we're focused on getting everything done, and that's our main goal in life is to just finish our to-do list, then we do these productivity hacks, we save ourselves time, and then instead of using that time for rest, what do? We just add more stuff in. We just try and tick more things off to-do list, and that just leads to burnout. It really does. It just means that instead of counteracting that productive time with the rest to then be able to be more productive the next time you're having a productive period, when you just add more to-dos in, then it just leads to emotional, physical, adrenal, mental, all kinds of burnout, and that is to your detriment, and that just means that overall you're much less productive. So that's misusing productivity hacks. Productivity hacks are designed to create more time for you to do other things like, just taking care of yourself. Number 8 is related also to misusing productivity hacks, and that is not having any structure in your day and procrastinating. So it's also kind of related to living on autopilot, is that procrastinating is a stress relief response. We procrastinate on things that we don't want to do or that we're avoiding because we're scared of failing at it or not being good enough, or procrastination can often be a perfectionist thing, because if we procrastinate on it, we don't leave ourselves enough time to do it properly, which means that when it fails or it's not good enough, then we've got an excuse as we procrastinated and we left it to the last minute, so that's why it's not good enough. But what can really happen is when you just are willing to acknowledge yourself for those things and just support yourself through that procrastination and add in some structure, then you will find that you're less busy and you're still getting as much, if not more, done. And that's through adding in structure into your day. And I've used the example in the past of if you're, particularly for me, I work from home, and if you're someone who works from home or you've got periods of the week where you're at home, I really recommend that you don't try to do other things while you're meant to be working. If you don't have structure in your day, and this is where I struggled. When I first started working from home, I was suddenly so time abundant that I got nothing done because I didn't have the structure to support my ability to get things done. And I was always really resistant around having the structure because that was why I decided not to work. I decided to work from home was because I wanted to have my own schedule. But that just meant that I either didn't get anything done or all I did was work, because I would work for a little bit in the morning and then I would have a big break during the day. And then I'd work a little bit after lunch and then I'd have another break and then I'd work in the night. And so I felt like I was working all day. But when you allocate chunks of time, or you even allocate days where you're not going to work and you're not going to do your to-do list, you're going to do these other things instead, then, taking an actual day off, or a weekend off, and really putting structure. That's why you can get things done in those chunks of time and promise yourself, all right, this is where the 8-hour workday mentality really does to our detriment for those of us who have started working from home, is where we think, well, I'll sit down at my desk for 8 hours and whatever gets done, gets done. But if you come at it from the point of view that, okay, I've got these 4 things that I need to do for work today. If I get them all done, I can have the rest of the day off. You can probably get all of them done in 3 hours. And you've just created yourself 5 hours just by having the idea of getting things done, in a shorter amount of time, rather than just saying, well, I work 8 hours, so I'll just get it all done. Because you get to the seventh hour and suddenly you're scrambling to get everything done in that 1 hour. It's a different mindset, and it really can help you to get more done and then have the afternoons off. Or vice versa, you might like to take the morning off and work for a few hours of an afternoon and see how that goes. You know, it really can. It's all about testing and trialing, but also, yeah, being quite strict with yourself, because if you're always working, even if you love it, you will burn out, because even doing the same thing, even when you love it over and over again, gets boring. So just giving yourself time to not work actually creates that desire to get into achieving something and to get back to it. And it's really quite a special thing. So putting some structure around your day will help you to get more done. And that means, like, also with your housework and things like that, you know, the chores and things that you have to do. It's like, you don't have to do housework every single day, meaning that obviously you need to clean the kitchen every day and eat every day, that sort of stuff. But you don't have to do laundry every day. You don't have to just be constantly picking stuff up. It's okay to, like, leave the house, leave the toys out every night and then only pick them up once a week or something like that. I mean, whatever works for you, but this is all about supporting you to have the life that you want and to create more time and to not feel like all you do is pick up toys and tick off to-dos. Like, it's ridiculous. So the final way that you probably keep yourself a little bit busier than you should is the fear of facing yourself. There's a reason that you're busy, and there's quite possibly something that you're avoiding facing if you slow down, which is why sometimes when you sit down for a hot cup of tea, you might get a bit twitchy and have to get up and do something, because some feelings that you're not ready to deal with might just be under the surface and start to bubble up because you're not really willing to look at them. This might be childhood trauma. It might be things going on in your relationship that you're not ready to, admit to. It might be underlying anxieties about not being good enough, or it might be just stories that you have about how you're failing at something or whatever it is. And this is really self-care, right? So when you slow down and choose to face yourself and to see yourself as a human with faults, it really is empowering. Like, if you can become vulnerable enough to see the ways that maybe you're not serving yourself, or maybe you're not showing up well in your relationships, or maybe it's finally time. It's finally time to get some mental health support in dealing with some things that have happened in your past that you've just swept under the rug and thought, things are good now, I'm just going to ignore it and hopefully it goes away. Because you'll never find peace, because you'll never be able to slow down, because if you're scared of facing those things. So I do encourage you to seek the support that you need to deal with the things that you might not be ready to face yet, and find the safety in facing them. And understand that on the other side of facing those things and accepting them and integrating them into who you are, it can really support your nervous system to slow down and to feel safe in the present. And that's the ultimate goal. And that is probably the one thing that a lot of us really struggle with, right? And it can have the most benefit. Facing yourself and admitting to yourself about the things that you're either not coping with, or that you feel like you're not good enough with, or whatever it is. Being really self-compassionate and kind to yourself, it really does make all the difference. It's probably the hardest thing to do, to be that vulnerable and to go deep with yourself if that's what's needed. But it really will make, like I said, all the difference. So those are all the ways that I'm sure there are more, but those are the ways that I found have the most impact for me and my clients and the people that I talk to around keeping ourselves busy, either unintentionally or intentionally. And I'm interested to know if there was one particular one that stood out, or if all of them stood out, or you can just see yourself or see others in those blocks and let's chat about it. Reach out to me on Instagram. Let me know. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's been a longer one. I've got a lot to say on this topic, and so thank you for taking the time to listen, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you for next week's episode as well. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully I'll see you on the retreat. I would absolutely love to have you there. All right, take care. Bye. That's it for another episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd like to connect further, the show notes from today's episode, including all the social links and free resources, are over on my website, howtoliveslow.com/podcast. Have a beautiful week ahead, and I'll speak with you again soon.